in my experience in politics, it helps to have good friends in high places, right? You've got like one of the most senior cabinet ministers as the MPP for Nipissing. This is Vic Fideli. You once upon a time, the member for Nipissing was a guy named Mike Harris. He was the premier of the province. Do you know for a fact that your part of Ontario, your part of Northern Ontario, did better than it might otherwise have done, did better than it might otherwise would have done by having powerful friends in high places?
Yes. That's as simple as that.
Give me an example.
Last week we were having a discussion just on the, or 2 weeks ago at FNOM, Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities, and one of Paul's councillors was asking about Highway 69. When is that going to be completed?
They've been promising to twin that thing for a very long time.
And
some of it is, and a lot of it isn't.
I may have whispered something along the lines of, well, maybe when the premier is elected in Sudbury. And listen, Highway 11, which, a very dangerous highway, no different than Highway 69. Listen, I give kudos to Mike Harris for getting that pushed through, to get that so that we have safe transportation for all of our northern communities, not just North Bay. Vic has done just a tremendous job in advocating at Queen's Park for so many things, whether it's the regional hospital funding, right from everything. Northern Ontario Heritage Fund, film industry, you name it, it just goes, and he is very supportive. And yes, you do have to have good relations with Queen's Park in order to get things done. That's simple as it gets.
So let me look at the other side of the coin. You here in Sault Ste. Marie, Mayor Shoemaker, used to have a cabinet minister in the current Progressive Conservative government representing you. He's no longer in cabinet. Did the Sioux suffer because it didn't have as good a friend in as high a place?
I think that there were areas of advocacy that it helped having the Minister of Training Colleges and Universities in our own riding, but he is still an advocate for the needs of the community. I think one of the files that consumes a lot of his time is the physician shortage file. As you likely know, there are 10,000 patients at risk of losing their family care physician. He is on that file, and I have been in constant communication with him since the announcement.
Ross Romano.
Yes. Since the announcement that all these patients were going to lose access to primary care on May 31st. And he's still very engaged in the file, and whether or not it would have helped for him to have a cabinet position, I can't say, but I think that he is still fully engaged and a willing advocate for Sault Ste. Marie.
Does it matter that Timmins' MPP is the Minister of Mines and is in the cabinet?
Well, I think it does, yes. I have a great relationship with Minister Perrier. I spoke with him on the phone just this morning, and I think the way it matters most is that it gives us a pulse on what's being said at cabinet and what the feeling is and the attitude and what's being talked about. No, not necessarily. Okay. Not necessarily, but having monthly meetings with him and check-ins, we get a good sense of what the priorities are, and it helps us align with provincial priorities. And then, of course, with the potential for the mining sector in the Timmins area. Of course, he's the Minister of Mines for all of the province. But again, just knowing what's coming up down the line, where the potential lies, and what we could and need to be doing to really embrace it. It's just good to have that kind of advice.
Now, as they say on Sesame Street, one of these things is not like the others. Tory, Tory, Tory. New Democrats That's represent right. Sudbury. Right. Okay, is it a problem for you in terms of getting the ear of this government to be represented at Queen's Park by a New Democrat?
No, certainly for us, I have good relationships with Frangelina and Jimmy West, right? And you know what, they've been very, very good with me in the sense of, if you have a file that you want us to advocate with you for, let us know. And if there's a file that you want us to back off because you're already working with the members of at Queen's Park, we'll hear you out, and certainly we will support you. So it's about establishing good relationships with our local MPPs, as well as the sitting members of other certainly ridings of Northern Ontario and of certainly that are at Queen's Park. So for me, it's been an all-out approach and certainly advocacy to the Premier's office, as well as to the different portfolios that certainly we have issues for Sudbury. So it's about establishing those relationships. And sometimes we're working with your MPPs. They have a job to do, right? They're in opposition. They have a job to do. It is to recognize that. But at the same time, finding the path to try to get the results that you're looking for.
But in your heart of hearts, do you wish you had a Tory cabinet minister as your MPP?
Listen, for us, like I said, I will work with anybody. Right, and the fact that right now, I'll give kudos to the current Tory government. I can easily access who I want to and have those conversations and having those frank conversations. I don't have a wall because, we won't answer the mayor's call because she's from Sudbury. No, they answer my calls and certainly and it is to develop that relationship.
The Agenda with Steve Paikin is made possible through generous philanthropic contributions from viewers like you. Thank you for supporting TVO's journalism.